All right, here's the deal. I told you to raise it on the flop with your jacks into this board, king, queen, 4, right? The reason you raise is you want to find out if your opponent has, your good-looking opponent, I might add, has ace-king, in which case he's going to be re-raising you, or, and in which case you're in bad shape, or 2 9s, my favorite hand, in which case you have him in bad shape, and he most likely didn't re-raise you. That's why you raise on the flop, to find out where you stand. Now it's time to use that information. The worst possible card for you would be what? There's a straight draw and a flush draw on board. How about this card? The ace of hearts. That's the worst possible card. If your opponent had a flush draw, he made a flush. If he had a straight draw, he made a straight. Or aces. He could have had ace 10 or ace jack. That is the worst possible card for your hand. Now, pretty much, if you have a couple of opponents, you really have no more call. It'll probably, in that case, be an easy decision to fold your pocket jacks. But let's just say that the deuce of spades comes off instead. Now what are you going to do? The deuce of spades has come off on 4th Street, and you've decided to bet it, okay? And your opponents have both called. What's the worst possible card? Well, the deuce of spades came off, so we know the ace of hearts is still left in the deck. Bam! That card. Now, if someone bets into you, now you really have to consider folding. But wait a minute. There's $240 in our hypothetical pot, and it's only $20 to call. $240 and only $20 to call. You better make sure that you're 93% sure that you're beat. And maybe with this ace of hearts and someone betting into you can be 93% sure. But you're going to make a lot of calls on the river. A lot of calls on the river. Once you've gotten to this point, you've played your hand through here, you've pretty much felt like you've had the best hand. So you're going to have to make a lot of calls on the end, all right? Because, again, $20 to win $240. You take that information that you learned, that you paid for on the flop, through the power of the raise, and you act accordingly. The deuce of spades has come off. If this player had re-raised you, which they most likely would do if they had you beat, now it's probably a good time to fold. You might have some genius read which says, you know what? I think he has exactly the 10 jack of hearts, and I'm going to call. But if you're going to make genius reads on the yellow belt level, you better make sure they're right, because you're just learning the game, and that information you paid for is pretty accurate on the flop. So, if you've been re-raised and a deuce comes off and your opponent bets into you, it's a pretty good time to fold. If you've gotten a re-raise and you have an opponent or two in there and they both checked you, now you get to bet one more time. If they raise you, more power to them. They trapped you. Now you can probably fold your hand. But at least you've given yourself the maximum chance to win the pot.